Morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the first show with me, Latifa, and later on Simon Chris Makanga. For you who has just joined us, I say welcome to the first show, the show that starts your morning every Monday to Friday from morning to 9 a.m. where we leave the studios and have Kazibe Bashir come in to take over with his face-to-face. Thank you for joining us, and it's a pleasure to have you with us. Again, like I said, I'm not alone. I am doing the show with.
Oh yes, indeed. My name is Simon Chris Makanga, and it is a big pleasure to have you on board.
Definitely.
For those of you that have just woken up with us, it is indeed a beautiful Monday, the 24th of August 2020. We are counting down just a few days to the end of this year and to the end of this month. Well, we want to wake you up with lots of positivity, because we do know and trust that when you start up with a positive energy, that means everything that you plan to do ahead of the day will always go through. And for those of you that had the longest weekend, maybe what we can say is that let your knees kiss the ground and thank the Almighty, and also ask Him to put everything right. Well, we are welcoming you to the show officially. Nababaka twegattako nakulwa Monday wiki mpya, leka buli kimu kyogenda otandika nakyo kibeere kipya, era suubira ebirungi byokka byogenda ofuna mu show eno wamu ne wiki yonna. For now, let's get the show started and then we'll be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, again, welcome to the first show. And today on the show, we're going to discuss a number of issues that have affected Ugandans during the weekend, where we were away, me playing with my family, and Simon Chris Makanga doing what he does best, and that is sleeping over the weekend and relaxing.
What I do best. Truth be told,
during the weekend, I know Simon Chris Makanga goes to gym. Now, that one I shall swear by.
Okay.
Is it true or not?
You got it right. You got it right.
You see?
Yes.
Now,
besides that, looks like you know more about myself.
Well, I know what you're doing over the weekend, Simon. It's not like I'm following up on your life. It's just that I care what my co-host is doing, and I'm making sure that he's not doing anything wrong during the weekend that I'll have to talk about during the week.
I can predict that I know what you do.
Oh, please, take a guess.
I'm pretty sure that you went swimming.
I did not go swimming.
I'm pretty sure you went.
I did not go swimming.
I have like 3 chances to guess, right? You must have gone either swimming, zip lining, or hunting. Well,
we went for a bit of hunting, paint gun. We had fun with my family. That one you got right. I'm sure you saw it on my status or something.
No, really?
And then we also had a zip lining. It was a wonderful weekend out with my family. And that's what I call upon everybody who's watching us right now, is that the weekend is time for you and your family, and don't let anyone or anything take that away from you, especially Simon Chris, who has an amazing family.
Oh yes, my family is amazing.
Oh,
indeed.
it is.
And I know they're watching right about now. But before we go there, good morning once again.
Well, good morning, Simon Chris Makanga. It's supposed to be a good morning. Like always, one way or the other, our show starts with a lot of information on COVID-19. And again, it is good for the people who are watching us to realize that as we go on, we all need to accept that COVID-19 is real. Yeah,
true. Before we dive into stories that have made headlines, or the stories that we are going to be discussing about today, I want to give you a recap of those big stories that made rounds of headlines last week. I know last week was quite busy, especially in the political environment as well as in other countries. And talking about Mali and the United States, stories made rounds of headlines. Well, on Monday last week, we had the youth elections that went on. Bagamba ati kali kabonero kamanyi nyako okulabirako eri ekitongole ky'ebyokulonda ekya Electoral Commission, Ministry y'ebyobulamu wamu ne police. Overall, we saw the NRM Central Executive elections that happened on Thursday, and the President of Uganda, General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, also addressed the NRM members, and he shared quite a number of issues that, like we discussed them on Friday. And also, we had Dr. Kano Kiza Besigye, who announced that his name won't be appearing on the ballot paper come 2021 general elections. And then those are one of the big stories. But for now, we want to start on a lighter note. And by the way, I don't want to say that it's good news, but it's really so saddening that COVID-19 cases are rising every single day.
Well, that's not a lighter note, Simon Chris Makanga, for the country to register 2,263 cases of COVID-19 in just a short period of time is not a lighter note. And now the Twitter cop, Hassan Kassinje, the IGP of police and the political commissar of Uganda, has been tested positive with COVID-19. Now, the lighter note about that particular story...
But let me tell you this. I call it lighter because we've been talking about COVID-19 every single day. So to some people, it doesn't make news. It becomes a lighter note. Yeah, it becomes a lighter note, but we need to assert COVID-19 news that comes out every single day, like you're saying.
Now, the thing about the lighter note about this story is the fact that Hassan Kassinje, who is, they call him the Twitter cop, the guy who is on Twitter all the time, and you will not send him a message with that hashtag of his name, and he doesn't reply you. Now, the lighter note on this particular story is the fact that Hassan Kassinje, who was among the 69 cases that were reported on Sunday, went on his Twitter page and said, I have been tested positive with COVID-19. However, he did it with a sense of humor, like he always does, and people laughed. But again, people felt sad that the very loved cop in Uganda has tested positive for COVID-19. However, this comes a long way to show us that COVID-19 is real, and it's time for us to look at it in a way that we need to protect ourselves.
That is true. I want to sympathize with Hassan Kassinje
and his family
as well, because I know it's a shock. This reminds me of when they reported the first case of COVID-19, and that news will never get out of my mind. I do remember the Minister of Health, Dr. Jenutha Cheng, the expression in her face. She looked like, oh, it's finally here. Yalabikanga weddemu amaanyi because she was at the forefront okulabanga tetufuna COVID-19 mu ggwanga. But when she was announcing that, I got a shock, and I will live to tell the story about that day. I remember, I think you were the first person that I called, or you called me.
Yes.
So that moment reminds me, Hassan Kassinje's moment reminds me of that time, because I really panicked. Now it shows that, oh, for those that didn't know that COVID-19 is in the country, or COVID-19 is real, it does tell a lot of meaning that if a prominent person like that can test positive, how about you, Omuntu wa wansi, the local person? Like many people have been saying that Hassan Kassinje has been sanitizing, has been social distancing. How come he has contracted COVID-19? Kati gwe omuntu ali wansi,
now there's a fake police page, Police of Uganda page, that said, Hassan Kassinje, tubadde tukugamba, stop moving around a lot, but you didn't listen. Now you have COVID-19. Well, it was a funny part of the story. However, now to go on a serious base of the COVID-19 infections in Uganda, there's a time just a few days ago that Uganda had 318 surge in one day, Simon Chris Makanga. One day, which is scary. Now, aside from Simon Chris Makanga, aside from Hassan Kassinje, Simon Chris Makanga, the other places that got COVID-19 infections are 13 people were registered positive again in Vision Group. Remember, they only had one case. Now I think those are contacts of the one case that was registered in Vision Group. And then NTV's Raymond Mujuni also tweeted and said he is in isolation because he was in contact with a person who was positive. NTV was one of the news or media companies that was found positive. And then we had the Physical Planning Board chairperson, Amanda Ngabirano, who also tested positive for COVID-19, and 150 inmates in Amuru prison also tested positive for COVID-19. Now, with the elections coming up, and with Judith Nawakoba saying Ugandans will only listen if a lockdown is instituted in the country. And remember, we've already been in lockdown for what, 4 months, coming to 5. And now what does that mean for Ugandans to have another lockdown being instituted? Now, the president is going to address the nation very, very soon. And people are scared that the nation will go under another 21-day lockdown. Simon, do you see the possibility of that happening?
Truth be told, the president is going to address the nation either tomorrow or maybe Wednesday, because usually addresses after cabinet has sat. But according to me as a journalist, like I've been following Gen Yoweri Kaguta Museveni for quite some long time, and I know the kind of president we have. The son of Amos is what I'm talking about, or is the person I'm talking about. When it comes to elections and him playing PR all the time, I don't see him subjecting us to a lockdown, because I know the kind of anger that will come along with that. However, this goes to us as Ugandans. I think we were subjected to a lockdown before we needed it, because we had only about 15 cases and we had total country lockdown before we truly needed it. And that's when we saw cases rising from the border points, coming from truck drivers. And that was manned, or it was contained. And now we have cases coming from the communities. What does that mean? It means that it could be the right time for us to be quarantined and then see how possible or where possible are the cases coming from.
Well, Malaysia Furnishing, Royal Pharmacy, Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, IGG, KCCA, Toyota, all these are some of the places that COVID-19 has been found. Now, we haven't totally manned the COVID-19 cases that are coming in through the borders. Even the 69 cases that were registered on Sunday saw that some of them were from the border points where the trucks were coming in. Now, the report says that 90% of the cases that were registered have come from public transportation. 90% of the people who were registered positive out of the 2,263 cases say they have gone into a taxi once before they got the COVID-19. Now, we are seeing that public transportation is a problem that needs to be dealt with in Uganda. Now, aside from that, we saw Diana Twina tweeting and saying that the problem is there are limited test kits that are coming into the country. And the problem is there is corruption in getting those test kits, because now what is happening is we have countries with bigger economies and bigger monies. Now, those countries are buying the test kits and protective gears for the doctors in large numbers and with big monies. And countries like Uganda with small economies are now facing issues of buying these test kits. So we have issues of limited test kits, and that means that Uganda as a country is going to face issues with the influx of COVID-19, and curbing it down is going to be a problem. Now, I will repeat my question one more time, Simon Chris. Elections are coming up. And we have seen that there are people in the August House, the NRM politicians, that even when they see that we have 20 deaths reported in the country, they're still out there collecting people in numbers without masks, without social distancing. And remember, the elections are supposed to be hybrid.
True.
The one is going to be scientific elections, and the other one is going to be a door-to-door kind of, campaigns. Now, when we look at the situation with the number of COVID-19 cases increasing in the country, and you're saying that the president cannot whatsoever come down to lock the country, I would beg to differ with you, Simon Chris Makanga. The president has surprised us on so many occasions. When we expected him to shut down the borders, he refused to shut down the borders. When we expected the president to open the arcades when he did, he refused to. And when he finally did, we saw that 58 arcades are now going to be shut down again because cases were found in those arcades. Now, Simon Chris, our fear has come to pass. The moment that cases are now community-based cases, we're going to see over 200 contacts on only one case.
Even more than that.
And those 200 contacts have 200 more contacts who have 200 more contacts. And that means Uganda as a country is in trouble.
True. Uganda, we are now at the high risk of... now we are going to test the realities about COVID-19. The fact that if we are able to have cases coming from within the communities, it is really big fear. It's high time we feared for our lives as Ugandans. But I want to re-echo what you said, or to have a comment on what you said, that that we don't have enough testing kits. I think it's a shame to the Minister of Health and the task force, COVID-19 task force, because we all know, all Ugandans know, that a lot of money was contributed. A lot of money was passed in the August House. Recently, I was reading a document from Umeme. It said that there was a project that was supposed to run from 2017 up to 2027, whereby we had all Ugandans were supposed to have electricity distributed to all villages, all regions of this country. But then that project was halted. It was put on hold. Reason being that that budget was transferred to help the Minister of Health fight COVID-19. Chikwase nako okulaba nti Ministry y'ebyobulamu evayo negamba mbu tesiteina sente zimala, they can't afford to have enough testing kits.
Well,
when a lot of money has been passed, a lot of budgets have been passed, we haven't even received any accountability for the money that was donated.
We understand
we have
that
companies that donated big sums of money to the extent that they are now cutting off their employees. So we do not have money to buy enough testing kits when you have people who have lost their jobs because their companies donated wholesomely to the task force.
Well, to be fair on Diana Tweener's side, she didn't say they don't have enough money to buy the test kits. What she said was countries like the US have higher bids in buying test kits. Remember, Chris, the whole world globally is facing the COVID-19 pandemic, and countries are rushing to buy those test kits. And by the time countries like Uganda with smaller economies are going, people have already bought those test kits, and you have to wait longer. Now, Diana Tweener says that the test kits that were supposed to come now were ordered for 2 months ago, but they haven't reached the country yet. It shows that there's a problem not only in Uganda, but globally in getting those particular test kits and the protective gears that the country needs. Now, when we look at people like Mary Gorerio Kurut, because now those are some of the people that we're seeing bringing people together during the, talking to people and what they call consultations. But for me, I say those are campaigns. The picture circulating on Twitter of Mary Gorerio Kurut, the energy minister, and Lydia Wanyoto being surrounded by a crowd. Now, as Uganda is facing a crisis of buying test kits, and we have an issue of competing with countries like the US, and we have corruption not only in buying those test kits globally, but we have corruption in the money that was put in procurement of those test kits, like you say, and we're not seeing any accountability.
We need accountability.
Of course we do. Now, that is something that we have called for, and we must call for as journalists, and we must investigate. It is up to us to find that accountability and bring it up to the people. Dr. Mondo says, budget. It's being passed and people are playing with the money that the Ugandans are bringing up. Now, what hurt Ugandans most is when the Ministry of Health came up and said every Ugandan ought to contribute some money in the fight against COVID-19. Where are the members of parliament who earn 25 million Ugandan shillings seated in the parliamentary
house? And they also
house?
asked for extra 20 million shillings. Mbubalebe kuswala,
bagenda
ku ground, mbabantu abasaba emmere, so they needed to be funded. Nenga sente zebabasaba, zebagenda okubawa, zebabawa actually, zali sente z'omuwa omusolo.
We are in crisis.
You know, Latifa and everybody watching the show, when you look keenly on what exactly is happening in this country and Africa at large, you sometimes have to flinch back. Notandika okulaba ebintu n'ogamba naye ddala wano wensaanye okubeera. You compare countries, you will compare our country to other countries, and you see how governments care for their people, how different things are done. Weebuuza ddala NNC ddala mwensaanye okubeera. Now look, they say that we have expensive, test kits are expensive. It's true, because I remember when the president was addressing the nation, President Yabuza, Permanent Secretary, Dr. Diana Tweener, Nambuza, how much does a testing kit cost? Nagamba, about $65. But recently we hosted Makerere Guild President, Julius Katerega. Natugamba nti, nga University of Makerere, by researchers, they were able to produce testing kits. Nebazigaba kubwerere. And they were testing for free. So, this is how we go wrong as Africans. We have people we have our own Africans, Ugandans at large, okay? Bakoze testing kids. But then instead of empowering them, you're still looking at Chinese testing kids. You're still looking at testing kids that come from Germany, from Britain. Why don't we empower our own students that have endeavored to come up with testing kids?
Now look, Uganda has issues.
Are these honorable people
and
or horrible people?
The police is standing there in uniform.
Being guarded by Uganda police.
I'm guarding, and she's on her open roof. She's standing. She's holding the microphone and addressing the people. People who are standing there without masks, and there's no social distancing. And you say, I care about my people. Wait, is that an FFU soldier in the middle with a blue uniform as well?
Exactly. This is the Uganda we are talking about.
Asan Kasinje, where are you? I know you're in isolation, but where are you?
Pierre Olumumba, a Kenyan law don, usually asks that in Africa, do we have honorable members or we have horrible members? You can't do something like that.
She doesn't care about the life of those people that are standing around her cart.
When the country is at the forefront to fight COVID-19, you are full minister. Noveri, because you're in the car, you have guns protecting you.
If it was NUP in that crowd, they're addressing. Do you see the kind of tear gas and bullets that would happen in that particular crowd today? Can we be non-partisan when we are guarding the politicians and the nations? Can we be, for once, Ugandan politicians, Ugandan police, can we for once be non-partisan in these elections and have a fair and free ground for people to participate in these elections?
Truth be told,
it really doesn't make sense. At 2,263 cases of COVID-19, I have always said it. Even with NUP, I have said it.
True.
Imagine
Producer, kindly play us that photo again. Give us that photo again.
Adina COVID-19 in this crowd.
Look, I want you to count the number of people putting on masks. Believe you me, if you're going to count, you're not going to lose your fingers.
While your mask air blue, ndaba the government of Uganda mask. Never the FFU soldier has a mask, the police has a mask. Her mask is on her neck, and we have talked about that a million times. But the rest of the crowd doesn't have a mask. And trust me, there's no time that she had told the masses who are surrounding her expensive car that it is time for you people, one, to have masks, two, COVID-19 is real, mwekume, wash your hands, and disperse the crowd. Did she say that? No, she did not.
Look at poor Ugandans.
She didn't use the kakaya to cover her mouth to protect herself from COVID-19.
Look at poor Ugandans. The question running in my mind, what if somebody, only one person, had COVID-19? What would happen to the rest of the people around that place? Are these honorable members or horrible members?
Simon Chris Awuza is asking a question, and truth is that is a legit question that we need to answer as a nation. Me, I'm angry right now, Simon Chris. I am very mad on this set right now for honorable members of parliament who are supposed to be an example and set a precedent for the local person in the community to put her chin on her neck and then address those people. What kind of example are you showing?
And these are people that are going to sit on a cabinet today on a Monday and then make decisions for these people.
For the nation to be shut down.
For the nation to be shut down. So literally, these people have gathered are the same people are going to be subjected to suffering. What kind of leadership do we have as a nation?
Ugandans, to Swaleko as members of parliament, to Swaleko as people who are there in the August House to make decisions for us, the people who put you there, to earn 25 million Ugandan shillings. I am disappointed.
It is so saddening. It is really so saddening.
And people are dying. Simon Chris, we are at a point in the nation where we no longer just have cases.
No.
We are now recording deaths. That should scare the hell out of us. It should. And a lot of people. Now, the thing about COVID-19, it's now affecting the people closer to us. Raymond Mujuni is a personal friend. And for him to be in isolation right now is a scare. And he's also a media companion like me, and which means sooner or later, Simon Chris, me or you seated on this set, could be positive
I know.
with COVID-19.
I know. This is not something that we are going to run away from. Tetumanyi, because fina tutambula ku street, tetumanyi ani ali positive, ani ali negative. So chigenda kuddayo, first and foremost, tetunenya nnyo, tubadde wano ku set Latifa, nga tunenya nnyo bannayuganda for relaxing oba okuddirira mu kulwanyisa ekirwadde kya COVID-19. But toyinza kunenya muntu wa wansi ng'omukulembeze amukulembera. Yeah, setting the example.
First of all, I want to shake your hand, Simon Chris Makanga, but I can't because of the COVID-19 situation. Thank you for being exemplary in that particular story and putting on your mask while you're interviewing these people. I am very impressed with you right now. You're better than these members of parliament who are not setting precedent. You're way better than, you know, I'm impressed right now at you, and congratulations.
I had to, because by then, the 2 death cases were registered from Kisenyi. And by the way, my producer sent me there, and I asked her that, Husna, do you really want me to go there?
With all this, with the two COVID-19 deaths.
Do you know what she told me? You chose to be a journalist.
Asante.
Then you have to go and inform the public.
Thank you.
So, but truth be told, nze kasicha nenya muntu wa mu Kisenyi. Nenya mukulembeza, abakulembeza abatutwala. Because they set an example. If you're talking about COVID-19, walk that talk. You set the precedent, then the rest will do what? Will follow. Toyinza kugamba nti okubi olukungana atomale okyukodde mu cabinet ogambe according to the number of cases coming in the country or raising the country, we need to have another lockdown.
Now, I would like to applaud 2-3 places that I've been to. And one thing they do is a walk-in system whereby they disinfect your whole body, plus your bag, plus your shoes, plus your face, plus your eyes. It's an experience, exhilarating experience when you walk under that machine. Now, the first one I saw was opposite the new park. There was a walkway where you walk and that machine splashes you all over the body. The second one was in Munyonyo Resort. Now, the one thing that I would ask the government of Uganda, especially in places like our kids, can we have one main entrance with such a machine that you will pass through and be disinfected the whole body? You understand? Now, that is the kind of thing we need. Those are the kinds of innovations we need from students like those from Makerere University. Mubazeyo bagende batukolere innovations. One, we are tired of spending taxpayers' money in buying this expensive stuff that we use. Two, can we promote the innovation that is happening in the country, put money in it, and have those youth create something that is affordable and that people can use?
Truth be told, I was thinking about exactly the same thing, Latifa. Like just what you just said. We have those disinfectant machines. Like just walk through.
You just walk through.
Can't we afford to have them? Because they are kids. Okay? Now, another question would be, do we have the money or not? To me, the answer would be yes, we have the money. We have the money.
They have eaten all that money. We don't have money anymore.
Not until we get tufuna embalirira. Yasende zebasoloza. Not until we get an accountability for the money that was contributed. Between me and you, we saw the president of Uganda reading names for almost an hour. So and so has donated, so and so has donated. Where is that money? Cars were donated, food was donated, lots of things were donated. Masks. And by the way, talk of masks. When you walk on the streets, how many people are putting on those government masks? Where are they? You've just seen a minister holding a procession. Ngabantu bambadde maski. Chikuwa chakulaba chi. Mask is the government.
Minister yambadde mask ya blue. Government of Uganda mask ediwa. Yet alina government of Uganda mask. Isn't charity supposed to start at home? Akolachi, what is she doing? Can we buy Uganda, build Uganda? To stand this with buy Uganda, build Uganda by making our own masks. We've made our own masks. In fact, today when the members of parliament sit, may I see each one of you put on the government of Uganda masks and to many colors the government of Uganda masks.
It's a true definition of what Ali Mazuli said, that we produce what we don't consume and we consume what we don't produce. Believe you me, the time the president of Uganda will address the nation, I want to bet my money. I want to bet my money whether they will all put on government masks or they will put on surgical masks.
Not only them, even the president of Uganda, a very exemplary. I need him to put on that government of Uganda masks, setting a precedent that if I, the president of Uganda, has put on the government of Uganda masks, I have literally tried, and you know, I am showing you a mask collar. Can we make sure that we do? I mean, STV has made better masks. All our masks are fake.
I know.
You know, before, I mean, when we go for a little bit of break, STV, the whole time set, I want to pride over the mask that we have made. And the government of Uganda should have come to us and to Gambe Bandangaba STV. But Dembuza, how did you guys make your mask? How did you guys make your mask? Nafe to call a mask like that. But it is a strong mask. The color is nice. You can wash that thing and put it on. It dries quick. And man, our logo looks good. I mean, I'm just priding over our mask and the fact that our mask is strong and looks good. And Simon Chris has it on right now. Producer, can we have Simon Chris zoomed in so we can look at the government of Uganda mask?
Yes, this is what I'm talking about. I can breathe. I can talk.
It's not about STV quality.
No, it's not about STV quality, but we are just saying, or we are advising the government that can we afford to have at least masks like this?
Quality, come on. We did a budget for those masks.
You can have it for as long as it can be sustained. Na mask is a government. Nagezako jambala, but to be honest, you can hardly breathe. You can hardly talk. Abamuche bakoze, bastard the ones we get.
Wanji?
Hey, haven't you seen that picture circulating on social media? I am by the sapatu, Tagalo Fune Chacha, so agitadeko wansi.
Ugandans play a lot. Ugandans
as we take a break, Latifa, I want to challenge all cabinet ministers and the president himself that the time is going to address the nation. Njagalo lunaku bajenga bambadde government masks. It is going to be a true definition that we consume what we don't produce and we produce what we don't consume.
And if they decide to put on the surgical blue masks, then they need to give out the surgical blue masks. Because that means they trust it better than the government of Uganda masks. Correct, let's go for a break and we'll be back with the next headline.
You're watching STV. Select for fun.
Abalamuzi babagamba if the incumbent president frustrates all democratic means to leave power, temusibayo muntu n'omukutwiza. This is why Besigye is released. Museveni ekibi kyalina talina mawulire. Nabandika n'ekitabo kyange the role of which could have been malicious society sapule njijjamu
noyingire sabo
katonda wa bujja nze katonda w'obujja bw'oba olaga eri sapule twegitwala omusajja omubbi bamujja ewuwe ewaka kabanga lyezi ne bamujja ewuwe ewaka yabadde mu ttooyi naye tebamukkiriza na tusanatayizi bamutadde buteesi mu piikaavu mu State House naye omukyayina bwe yawulidde nti ono bamukutte yeesize kiwi yayitiddeko yadduse ng'omuddugavu.
Year-old youth to women who are vying for the presidential position in Uganda. 58 presidential aspirants have picked nomination forms from Electoral Commission saying they want to stand for the presidential position in Uganda. Now, Electoral Commission has told them that as you pick those nomination forms, make sure that you go into the local community and get 100 signatures from your local community and represent 2/3 of the country to show us that people want you to stand, instead of you wasting our time, wasting our airtime, and wasting the voters' time in listening to what you are going to see. However, for me, the most important part in this competition, which is making me smile as a woman, is that we have 5 presidential aspirants who are women. I am very impressed, and I hope that one day Uganda will see a female ruling the country. Simon Chris.
It's true.
58.
Yes, I condone what you just said.
And what is that? Be careful about where you're going with this conversation in the condoning part. Because there are 2 things I said. One is 58 presidential candidates vying for the president.
I know where you're coming
Let me
from.
finish what I am saying.
I know where you're coming from.
There are 2 things I said. 58 people are vying for these positions. And then I also said that I am glad that 5 women are vying for this position. Now, be careful and make sure that you talk about the 58 and don't touch on the women. I'm just giving you a forewarning.
I condone the fact that we have 5 women coming up to vie for presidency or wanting to unseat the president of Uganda.
Producer Husna Afeti, I am going to ask that you shut us out a little bit. I would like to give Chris my peace of mind and then to Komeo. You cannot. What is your position in condoning this particular, 5 women?
Okay, let's not go there. Let's not go there.
Oh, thank
but
you.
I want to discuss
Thank
this.
you. That makes a lot more sense.
I want to discuss this, Latifa, and everybody watching us as a Pan-Africanist. We have been fooled several times, by the way, by our former colonizers, our people who governed this country before we did. And I think it's high time we defined ourselves as Ugandans and Africans at large. We have been told several times that for us to exercise democracy, we need to have periodic elections. We need to have different people coming onto the ballot paper.
You're not in support of periodic elections after 5 years.
Which is okay.
You're not in support of that. I'm just asking.
Okay, yeah. We've been fooled so many times. And my question is, when you look at people who are telling us to exercise those things, are they practicing them where they come from? When you look at the United States, how many people appear on the ballot paper? That is a question we need to ask. When you look at UK, do they even have elections? Okay? So these things, we need to define who we are. These things were told to us in a way that they don't want to see us happy. They don't want to see us stabilize all the time, because each time we go into elections, either they are rigid, we go into chaos, there is total bloodshed. Can't we think about other things? No, I've not seen any African person or any Ugandan come out to say that this is the way we want to describe democracy. Why should it be a white person come out to say that for you to exercise democracy, you need to go into periodic elections?
Did they not design our constitution? Go ahead.
Did they?
Didn't they?
Of
I mean, they were part of the
course, they
process.
participated. No wonder whenever we go into elections, we have observers. Let me give this a live example. We are going to have 2021 general elections, okay? We might have observers from different African countries. They will all come out and speak that according to us, this is what we have seen, this is what we have witnessed. But then, for us to have a final answer or a final decision, what is the European Union saying? To what extent are we going to drive our country on the basis of European unions? We have seen them go to INOP. We have seen them go to FDC. But we are all shaking like, what is Bobby Wine discussing with the European Union? So what more do they bring on the table? Can't we define our own democracy? Can't we define our own elections? Can't we have only African observers say that maybe one from South Africa, one from Kenya, one from Rwanda, and they give us a final decision? Why must we wait for European Union, from people from the US, observers from the US. Why must we wait for them to give us a final updates on how the elections have been conducted? That's my opinion.
Well, for me, where this becomes a bit tricky is that the opposition is already pulling ropes. We have Robert Chagulanyi, we have ANT. The FDC hasn't picked presidential nomination forms yet, and we're waiting for them to do that. They are not among the parties that are named to have picked their presidential nomination forms because they're still having issues and they haven't decided who is going to be their presidential flag bearer. Now, NUP has issues because Andrew Mwenda is saying they do not have democracy. Andrew Mwenda went into NUP to question democracy in NUP. He went there to try and darten their water a little bit and see whether they would shake. And they did shake a little bit because now Joel Senyonyi came up to say that Andrew Mwenda picked the nomination fees of
chairman LC5 never cancel.
There are two things.
Uganda.
Bagambia, he picked for youth councillor and the LC3 chairman. Now, Andrew Mwenda took a picture of his nomination fees and said, of nomination forms, and said, I picked for the presidential nomination fees for NUP. Now, NUP has come up to announce that Chagulanyi is their sole candidate. And truth be told, they had already decided that from time immemorial. He was leading People Power. And when he moved into NUP, we did not even expect to see any other person take over the presidential flag bearer of NUP. It wouldn't make sense for Andrew Mwenda to even go in. Now, one thing I would have told NUP to do is to have those elections, because I will tell you one thing for sure. Andrew Mwenda cannot on any level beat Honorable Chagulanyi. He will not in the elections in NUP.
So sad that we are discussing Andrew Mwenda and his picking nomination forms.
Right?
It is so sad. I feel like we are wasting a lot of time.
It is useless indeed. Because Andrew Mwenda was just playing games. Literally.
If he's challenging NUP democracy, why did he challenge NRM?
To start with. Now, this is the kind of hypocrisy that we talk about every time in these different presses. Andrew Mwenda came up and officially called himself an NRM person. He officially announced himself as a yellow boy. Now, before we know it, he went and picked the NUP card, and we knew that Andrew Mwenda was playing games. We knew that Andrew Mwenda was trying to just shake the marks in NUP. And in a way, he kind of raised a few people's eyebrows, but not a lot of people, because people have known where People Power came from. People have known where People Power started, the struggles they have gone through, who has been with them the whole time. It's like me growing up with my foster father the whole time, or my real father, and then someone else comes and says, I'm going to be your father from now on. Like, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. And the question you ask is very vital. Why didn't he go and question the democracy
in NRM party? Because they also passed a sole candidate.
You know, people like Andrew Mwenda and Mabirizi, who we will discuss later on, are people who are actually looking for screen time. And someone said in our views
and the fact that we are talking about it often,
we're giving them more, airtime. But it's okay to have our airtime, because that's what we do.
No, if they truly need airtime, if they truly need airtime, we have plenty of it at STV, but at a certain cost.
Yes.
Yes.
However, now my situation, please.
I heard you talk about FDC. And maybe there could be people who don't know what exactly is happening within the FDC. I think that was last week, Colonel Dr. Kizza Besigye came out and cleared the air that he won't be contesting for 2021 general elections. And then apparently we have two names that are going to go into internal elections. Oba mukamyufu ka FDC. Kuliko chairman wa FDC, that is Omulongo Wasabirigwa. And then we have the party president, POA, Patrick Amliat Oboy, who are going to be contesting for FDC flag bearer. However, I like what the clause that Colonel Kizza Besigye left with the party. Yagambye, what you have just seen is plan A. Expect plan B to come. So maybe we don't know what is going to happen. Maybe the delay could be one of the effects of what are going what is going to happen in Plan B. We don't know. We don't know yet.
He walks in and is like, I'm back, people, I'm back. However, now looking at the aspirants from the different political parties who came up, we have, of course, Robert Chagulanyi from NUP. We have Gregory Mugisha Muntu from Alliance, and we have Bale Charles of the Ecological Party of Uganda. I haven't heard that party vibe a lot in these elections and campaigns that we've had. The Ecological Party hasn't been so loud, but here they are.
Many will come out because we were fooled that we need to have so many political parties
to
exercise
again, now
democracy.
The problem is they're going to have to fight for voters. 58 people against one NRM is going to be tough for them, and we wish them the best. Now, when we look at the 5 female aspirants, now I'm smiling. We have Lugude Katwe Elizabeth, we have Nancy Kalembe, we have Maureen Chalia, who came last time, we have Fiona Mirembe, and Kashemere Brenda. Now, when you look at these people, all I ask of them, because I know Uganda hasn't reached to the point where we let women be political leaders, women be presidents. I wish I had seen Kadaga in the list of women who picked up their presidential nomination fees. However, I want them to debate it like the lioness that they are. Chalia held her ground.
True.
She held her ground.
True.
And I hope the women who are coming will hold their ground so that even when you do not pass through these particular presidential elections, you will fight your war, you will stand your ground, and people will know that we have a lot to offer this country.
Oh yes, from that point, STV, the Fire Show is going to be taking a very short break, and then we'll return with lots of more other stories that are making rounds of headlines. For now, it's a good morning.
Abalamuzi babagamba if the incumbent president frustrates all democratic means to leave power, temusibayo muntu n'omu kutwiza. This is why Besigye is released. Museveni ekibi kyalina talina mawulire. Nawandika n'ekitabo kyange the role of which could have been in malicious society sapule njijjamu
noyingire sabo
katonda wa bujja nze katonda w'obujja bw'oba olaga eri sapule twekitwala omusajja omubbi bamujja ewuwe ewaka kabanga lyezi ne bamujja ewuwe ewaka yabadde mu ttooyi naye tebamukiriza na tusanitize bamutadde buteesi mu piikaavu ba mu state house naye omukyayina bwe yawulidde nti ono bamukutte yeesize kiwi yayitiddeko yadduse ng'omuddugavu.
Prosecute him until he does not appear on the ballot papers. Words of Male Mabirizi, who asked the Electoral Commission to give him the education papers of Robert Chagulanyi, and now he's asking NIRA to give him information about the birth date of Chagulanyi. From 1980 to 1982 are the 2 dates that are varying between the age in which Robert Chagulanyi was born. Now, we have seen that Male Mabirizi has gone after Robert Chagulanyi for the longest time and says he will make sure that Robert Chagulanyi does not go on the ballot papers. Now, people like Mabirizi, we have seen, do not troll people because they have personal vendettas with them. For them, it's the media attention. For them, it's the fact that people are watching them. Now, I am saying that from an informed point of view, that Mabirizi was the same person who made sure that he rejected the appointment of Alfonso Owiny Dolo and Richard Butera as the Chief Justice and Deputy Chief Justice, respectively. Now, that's not the only thing that he did. Male also petitioned the East African Court of Justice seeking to block elections in 46 newly created constituencies and the 6 parliamentary representatives for the elderly. Now, this guy has also gone and challenged the president's directive in March 20th of locking down the country due to the COVID-19 situation. Now, Male Mabirizi is the lawyer who needs attention. In order for him to become a renowned lawyer, Malema Mabirizi needs that attention. And remember what Dr. Mondo said? He said right now, everybody who can and who will and who wants attention in the 2021 general elections will be like a leech on NUP, because it is the party that is sound now. People are listening to NUP. Now, Andrew Menda will go on NUP. Malema Mabirizi will go on NUP. The other politicians who feel like they're stuck somewhere and cannot do anything with themselves except go to NUP in order to get votes will do so and maybe later betray NUP. Now, Simon Chris Makanga, what do you think about Malema Mabirizi saying he will prosecute Bobi Wine until he does not appear on the ballot papers?
I think Latifa and everybody watching the show, one would ask or wonder, who is Malema Mabirizi? What are his intentions? We've seen him petition so many things.
So many things.
What has he achieved? What is his agenda behind him petitioning all those things? And how far does he want to go? Now, I want to re-echo what you just said, that NRM, or I mean NUP of Robert Kyagulanyi Center, also known as Bobi Wine, it's a hot cake apparently that everyone wants to share.
The red flower in the green grass, you said.
Like I always say, yes, the red flower in the green grass. Intikati chechimuli echaka chizikiza buli omu. Kati buli omu ayagala okulabika agenda kujja ayagala kyekwatako. But how you come also matters. You don't come with the intention of defaming others, okay? Malema Mabirizi, I'm pretty sure, is a lawyer. He has read. He's familiar with the Ugandan constitution. Last time I sent him to read Article 102C, which gives qualities of a president. Bichibi wetaaga ebisaanyizo byotaaga okubeera nabyo okufuuka omukulembeze w'eggwanga oba okusobola okwesimbawo kw'obukulembeze w'eggwanga. That article 102C egamba nti oteekwa okuba nga oli mubaka wa parliament, at least oteekwa okuba nga oli mubaka wa parliament. Kati yandibadde yo petition yagikola luli eri luvannyuma nga Bobi Wine tannaba kwesimbawo kubeera kuba member of parliament. A petition yandikoledde naye kati eyo close. I know. Let him open his.
Kati tuli ku big fish, Simon Chris Makanga. The other time when he was
big fish, but doesn't limit your knowledge of information. Okay.
A leech doesn't care who they're getting stuck on. They don't care whether your blood is dirty or your blood is clean. They don't care how huge. A leech will always stick on your skin and suck your blood. I am not saying Mabirizi is a leech. Quote me well. All I am saying is Mabirizi is looking for attention. Why I'm saying that is the very many petitions that Mabirizi has made, they don't really make sense. A lot of them don't make a lot of sense. And he says he's representing the lower people in making these petitions. Now, my question to Mabirizi, who hopefully we will have in the studios very soon and be as non-partisan, and we won't take sides as much as we can, is ask him, what is your personal vendetta with Robert Kyagulanyi? Because now we've seen too many presidential candidates coming up, but he has a particular problem with Robert Kyagulanyi. Now, a lot of people, apart from Mabirizi, are saying his papers, academic papers, are questionable and they need to be looked at. And they say, according to the papers that he gave, he started his primary in year 2, like he was 2 years old when he started school, which they say is impossible.
It is very possible. Back then, even most of my age mates never went through nursery school.
Or primary.
They went straight to primary 1. And some have, anyway, this is not the kind of debate we wanted us to engage to. To be honest, I find myself being limited to so many things. The fact that one of the agenda or one of the mission or one of the intentions behind all this is to have him discussed. And I feel like he has scored. Truth
He
be
has.
told.
No, he has.
I feel like he has
He
scored.
has, because we're discussing him right now, and we're discussing him at a point where he's questioning academic papers and the year in which Robert Chagulanyi was born, and we are waiting to see if he has evidence in line with that. Because if he does have evidence in line with that, that means he has a right to question it. But if he doesn't have evidence, Malema Birizi literally wasted 5 minutes of my time on this screen speaking about him. So we hope, Malema Birizi, that you will have evidence for us come that time when you represent
Latifa,
those papers to us. Yes.
When you also flip the other side of the coin, because we need to be balanced as we can. However, it doesn't take away the fact that we have to speak the truth. When you look at other petitions that he has been doing or he has been engaged into, you feel like maybe there was some bit of meat to bite, a little bit. He has petitioned the High Court, age limit. He has petitioned that.
Yeah,
to be honest, at least I need to cut him and slack on that. Kuba, the way the Constitution was defiled, in broad daylight, at least he should have taken that angle.
Don't jump from issue to issue, Simon Chris Makanga. It doesn't
Eventually,
make sense.
you don't win nothing.
Eventually, you lose. You lose value because you're jumping from one thing. Omukazi awukira one person to another. Are losing a value, and that is what is happening to Malema Birizi. However, now jumping away from him, because now I want to go into more serious matters in discussing what is happening in the political arena in the country. Let's look at people who want to travel out of the country. When this lockdown is done, you need to run and renew your passports at 250,000 ordinary. We have diplomatic passports at 500,000 and official passports at 400,000. Now, these passports are expiring in January. The East African communities sat and decided and agreed that if you don't have a chip-oriented passport, that is an East African passport, your passport cannot move you outside the country. So run and do that, even as we are fighting COVID-19, even as we are having the lockdown, because now you can apply online and you don't have to go to NERA offices unless you make an appointment.
That is true. I think this was long overdue. When you look at developed countries, these things happened quite a number of years ago. Truth be told, they happened quite a number of years ago. And I want to applaud Minister of Internal Affairs for coming up with this. And the system that was said is that you do not wait, you do not have to wait as long as we used to. And this also comes in line with the creation of new cities and bringing everything online. Nti kati omuntu abadde ajja Jinja kyali kimwetaagisa okukola ki? Omuntu ava Jinja kyali kimwetaagisa okujja wano ku industrial area, ku Ministry of Internal Affairs, okufuna passport. Naye kati olw'okuba nti kati ne system babikyusizza, awali city, all government offices, some of them shift and go where the city is. Kati ne Jinja wajja bayo ne Ministry ya Internal Affairs. Nti kati system, you place your order online. You only got to pick or to submit a few documents or and you pick your passport. So the system has been eased a little bit. It's a bit faster. There's one thing I'm here to confirm, whether waliwe zoko sasula for
That's 150,000 if you're trying to have a passport in 3 days. Then you're going to have to pay 150 extra charge for your passport to come.
How much is the normal?
A normal one was, back then I remember we used to pay 100,000 for 200,000 passport. If you want a fast one, then you pay 300,000.
Yeah, I remember I paid for an express passport that also, my God, express was saying 2 working days, either 24, how many hours, a few hours. But then it took me about 4 days.
Munange, mine took 1 day or 2 days. It was actually as fast as it could have been because I paid for an express and I did it in Mbale and it was fast. That I guarantee it happened. So for me, I've gone through that process and it has worked for me. Now for Ugandans who are abroad, we also have good news for you, and that means you don't have to come back into the country to process your passports. All you have to do is, if you have the old one, is send your information and then have that information of your passport sent and the information of the new passport sent, and then they will have it for you at a courier fee of only 10,000 Ugandan shillings. That isn't so bad.
This reminds
for people
me,
who are living abroad.
To
it
be
isn't
honest,
so bad.
Latifa, this reminds me of what our 4 founders had in mind. that meeting that took place, I've shared with you this story, Latifa. Maybe I can share with the people watching us. There was a meeting that sat in Ethiopia on an invite of Emperor Haile Selassie. That was in 1953. 33 African heads of state met there. And they had suggested that on a submission of Kwame Nkrumah, Ghana's president, they had suggested that Africa gets united. So that they had suggested that they walk out of that meeting with one army, one currency, one passport. Imagine how sweet it could be.
That sounds like the opposition coalition right now.
How sweet it could be. You have one African passport. Okay, let me say, to have West African passport, you have East African passport, you have South African passport. Because Chimenya, you have different currencies. If you're to travel within the East African region, you come from Uganda, you want to go to Kenya, you're going to grapple with the Ugandan shillings, then you over Kenya Chuse, or to over Kenya, you're going to Rwanda, you grapple with the Kenyan shillings, over Rwanda, or Gende South Sudan, you grapple with Rwandan francs, and then to South Sudan, you have to come back to Uganda. Then Ochuse. Oh my God.
You don't want to touch on
it is
currencies.
So hectic. Our forefathers, ekintu kye bali batesa kyali kirungi. Nti kati tekikwetagisa ove wano, ovudde wano Uganda ogenze, let me say Namibia, ofunye stamp. Ovudde Namibia, ogenze Rwanda, ofunye stamp. Oh my God, it's so hectic. These things must have been thought about before, maybe.
Well, as we are winding up this particular discussion to go into our main topic of discussion, and that will be discussing the 58 acades that have been closed and what ought to have been done and what ought to be done at this time. We're also looking at the fact that now you who wants to renew your passport, you have only 5 months to do that, and your passport will have a chip in it that will be seen by the computer, and you won't have the normal passports that don't have chips.
By the way, also I want to applaud the Minister of Internal Affairs. Intikati, teshakwetagisa kumpapulezo. That was the most hectic process, by the way. Nti ogenda ku officer Internal Affairs, nojayo form, then no stamps, no chairman LC1, LC3, Smanyi Diso, RDC, no reference. It was a whole long process. Now, what you need is to have a national ID. Only national ID, because it has all those details. Ngofuna passport.
Well, good to know. And we, the citizens of Uganda, are excited about this development. Well, on that note, let's take a break, a very short one, and we will be back.
Abalamuzi babagamba, if the incumbent president frustrates all democratic means to leave power, temusibayo muntu n'omu kutwiza. This is why Besigye is released. Museveni ekibi kyalina talina mawulire. Nawandika n'ekitabo kyange, the role of witchcraft in a malicious society. Sapule njijjamu.
Noyingire sabo.
Katonda wa bujja. Nze Katonda w'obujja. Bw'oba olaga eri, sapule twegitwala. Omusajja omubbi bamujje ewuwe ewaka Kabanga lyezi, ne bamujje ewuwe ewaka yabadde mu ttooyi, naye tebaamukiriza na tusanitize. Baamutadde butese mu piikaavu mu State House. Naye omukyayina bwe yawulidde nti ono bamukutte, yeesinze kiwi, yayitiddeko yadduse ng'omuddugavu.
Hamid and Simon Chris Makanga. For you who has just joined us, we've had a number of discussions. And the one most important discussion that we've had is the COVID-19 influx in Uganda, whereby we have the numbers increasing every day from 96 a day to 213 a day and 318 in a day. Now, these influxes are very scary. In Uganda, we have 20 deaths now, up from 13 to 15, and now 20 deaths. And we are asking ourselves, what next for Uganda? And are we having another lockdown? Now, in the studios, we have Theodas Musoke, the Secretary General of Kasita, and we will be discussing the future of the kids with this particular situation that Uganda is going through. Hello and welcome to the first show.
Thank you.
How are you doing today?
I'm okay.
Well, I'm glad you have your mask on.
Yes.
Yeah, that keeps me safe, and I know that I'm safe.
We are scared of media houses.
We are scared of ourselves. We are scared of our spouses and our kids.
What we are hearing is so scary.
It is.
But I think with God's protection, we shall win.
Well, I have always said that God's protection alone is not enough. AIGP Hassan Kasinja is sick with COVID-19. We have NTV, NBS, BBS, and all the other nation media houses that are sick with COVID-19, and it is spreading. At 2,236 cases, we ought to be scared. Now, the President of the Republic of Uganda will be addressing the nation very soon. What do you think he will do about the COVID-19 cases and deaths that are increasing?
For us as Kasita, we are worried about the situation because we have been involved in several engagements with the government. Mainly, that's why now, like inspection committee, I'm part of the inspection committee, which has been inspecting arcades. And so last week, we were requested for the report, which I forwarded even to Afande Kasinje, like on Wednesday. And so he told me that he is still in isolation.
Did the COVID-19 come from the report you sent?
No, not that. Because he told me he's already in isolation.
Okay.
And the fact is we're assessing arcades. And unfortunately, we as Kasita, today we are going to brief the nation about our assessment and the challenges. Mainly, there are some landlords which are so defiant and uncooperative, who are failing SOPs. But before setting up those SOPs, because we met the president and we agreed with Honorable Maria, and we set up those SOPs. Then later, Honorable Maria met the landlords. So they engaged the landlords about the SOPs and their essence or importance. Unfortunately, some are so defiant. So when we first assessed the first arcades with the KCCA team, the list was released, the arcades which are supposed to operate.
I remember that time.
Unfortunately, some even unauthorized arcades opened up. So they continued working. So we decided to engage them. By then they have been on our neck, even some landlords trying to scare us that we want to close their buildings. And mainly, the issue was to control access to those arcades. Can someone wash their hands? Can someone sanitize? Is there someone to control the access? By the way, like when you move now in most of the arcades, they are complying. They are like some 2 to 3 managements. Unfortunately, they have so many buildings. You find now like Nabukela arcade. You find that it's so congested. Some are referring that it looks like a shrine. So it's so congested. You find that even the control, they don't mind. But now, like when you go to Mutasa, when you go to other buildings, you find that they are totally very organized. Unfortunately, even like, is it called Qualicel? You find that even in our report, we are requesting KCCA, Engineering Department, to go and reassess Qualicel. Because we find that even water after rain, you find that it floods.
Wow.
So we think that our members and our tenants are at really high risk. So we had suggested that let us engage the enforcement department and the police to make sure that these landlords who are defiant, they can be dealt with.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, you find that the police is cowardizing. They fear these landlords.
I don't know that about police. This is news to me.
Yeah, they fear. And the fact is, most of the landlords are befriending police.
And
So you
paying
find
them
that,
some money.
I'm not sure, but you find that totally we released the list of arcades which are not supposed to operate.
Well, a lot of people are pointing fingers towards Casita and towards the Public Transportation Association for playing a very big part in the increase in the number of the COVID-19 cases. Now, see, when the country was still on lockdown and the arcades and public transportation were on lockdown, people saw that the numbers were not increasing as much as they are now. So fingers are being pointed at you for pushing for the opening of these arcades. What do you have to say to that?
You know, personally, I've been totally engaged in all the arrangement to avoid COVID-19. Unfortunately, we have discovered there is that direct, I think, war against the economy of Uganda. There is no way you can tell Casita, you can blame Casita for the spread of COVID-19. When we want trade order in town, and you find out Chikubo, people may be like, we are suspecting that there is that connivance with the KCC Law Enforcement Department, with those people vending along Chikubo, which is creating a lot of congestion in Chikubo. Secondly, there is this new road, the NMT, non-motorized system, where you find that is totally now almost full of hawkers and vending. So totally that's out of order. There is no social distancing. You cannot sanitize. Totally, there is a lot of kavuyo.
When you were pushing for the opening of arcades, you didn't see this happening? You didn't see people not following the rules? Because you know, as the people who are hustling in the streets, following the SOPs is not as easy. We're used to living our lives the way we used to do it, and you knew, regardless of how much you were pushing, that things would be the same. We've seen arcades that are not following the SOPs. We've seen arcades that have been closed because they have gotten cases in those arcades. And now we are seeing 58 arcades that are going to be closed. You guys pushed for the opening of the arcades. There were smiles in everybody's faces because we thought we were going back to work and our lives were safe because you had it all figured out. What happened?
So maybe Latifa, you haven't got me clear. Because like even before opening of arcades, people were street vending. So we had an argument. How do you allow illegal trading? Because you cannot allow street vending. It's totally out of, it's not okay. Then you say that opening arcades and you leave people to vend on streets is okay. Totally, it's not allowed. That's not trade order. Secondly, most of the arcades, personally, I was selected to be on that COVID task force to make sure that our traders comply. And I'm really very okay with most of the traders. They are complying. But we're asking, why is this Drake Vegas buildings working when they were not inspected?
Okay.
Why is Yanga's building, like Nabukeda?
Those are some of the
Yes, so those are some of the arcades. They are operating. Why, me as Musoke, I cannot go and close those arcades? But it's KCCA and the police, which deliberately is leaving these arcades to operate. And by the way, Latifa, we think these arcades are for big people in government. That's why these people think they are above the law.
There's a hand behind
because there is no way the arcades were not inspected. Arcades are operating. They are not at all observing any SOPs.
Are those part of the 58 that are going to be closed? And when is that going to happen?
But the minister gave them just 1 week. But even we think that week is too much. That week is too much. And even the arcades which they informed the media that they closed them. I went there personally because I'm at the COVID task force inspecting those arcades with the KCCA team. They are operating. They are operating. It's just that they sealed off the shops which those the victims were found. And even we emphasize it's called Galilaya, Galilaya and Namaganda arcades.
Yes.
By the way, now they observe SOPs. They observe, even if we just pay a visit, they are very, very okay. And even today, now what we have done, we are trying to gang up our efforts to make sure that we make more assessment and sensitizing. And even we are forming now arcade-based task forces of compliance. engaging the managers, because on the SOPs, the management of the building was supposed to employ compliance officers.
Okay.
But you find because of the cost implications, most of the managements haven't employed them.
Sure.
So we as Casita, because we know when the lockdown comes again, we shall be hit badly. Because just imagine, we have been forced to pay 5 months of rent earlier.
Yes.
When we are in lockdown. And the government is very quiet. That's why we are suspecting. These guys, after now cheating us, our money, they are saying, they are talking about lockdown.
Now, that was the next conversation that we are supposed to have, and that is that we have failed to manage the landlord rent issue that is being, we've seen that tenants have been locked out of their buildings. We've seen that there has been an ongoing scuffle between landlords and the tenants. Landlords are saying we need to pay loans in the bank. Tenants are saying we've been home for 5 months. Where has this discussion reached?
For sure, you find that at times I wonder, how can the landlord say that they have loans? Also us, we have loans. It totally is very unhuman to make someone pay rent the period when he didn't work. And you find these guys, when they meet the media, they say, no, you know, you have waived off some months.
Yes.
But they haven't seen
reality,
any landlord.
haven't.
I'm telling you, like for Drake.
Yes.
He said, I've now at least waived off 2 months. When people paid, the next day they found padlocks on their shops. I have a colleague, is called Kamanda.
Yes.
So when he went to the shop, he found that they had removed the door for the shop.
Wow.
And all his
The struggle is that bad.
stocking
Okay.
were stolen. When he complained to the police, they just arrested Kamanda. So is that totally fair? So we are finding a lot of unfair
So Kabanda's
conditions.
stuff was stolen and
Yes.
he was arrested.
Yes, he was arrested.
That's
Even
a tricky, an interesting situation.
He went even to CPS. I informed him himself. So you find that these landlords are doing whatever it takes to make sure that they cheat poor tenants.
What solution is there?
What we did as Casita, we wrote to the Honorable Minister, Honorable Mary Chambade. We wrote to the Housing Minister. We wrote to Security Minister. Reason, when we met General Tumwine, he told us that Casita, you want Kavuyo Orange. So this time we invited him on a special panel and KCCA to see how can we mediate and find a lasting solution about rent issues.
That's what everybody
But
needs.
unfortunately, they haven't replied. They received our letters, but they are totally so silent. And it's a very tricky situation. You find that now most of the ministers, they are worried about the political environment. They are concentrating, most of now the time is spent on going back
And looking for
on
votes
grounds
and yes.
to see how do they win the favor for the voters. So, but these issues are very sensitive. You find, but they haven't at all intervened. So we find out, we are saying that, now they are talking about going back in lockdown. When you have paid your money, over 30 millions, you have wasted that money. And for us as Casita, we are saying we can fight COVID-19 as we are working.
Well, a lot of
we are
people
supposed to
will
protect
deny
the
that.
economy.
A lot of people will say you have been unable to control the situation so far, so why should we trust you to say that you will control the situation therefore?
But personally, you find that I've been moving around town. You may think that even I'm employed by the government with our team, sensitizing.
Okay.
That's why we do acknowledge that there are some tenants and buildings which are fully complying.
Yes.
So these buildings which are not complying, they would have been closed immediately.
Okay.
So that these landlords can fully implement the SOPs. But the minister had an argument that given the fact that the tenants had spent more time home during the lockdown,
Yes.
we didn't want to crash and bring Kavuyo in town. That's why you saw that the process has been a little bit slow.
Yes.
But given the fact that the cases are increasing, why can't people who are not complying
Be shut
comply
down?
now? Yes, and by then you find that we have achieved a lot during this exercise. Now, most of the toilets in town are flashing.
Okay.
People had several infections. But now, because of our team, By the way, we have been working with Dr. Indisiwe, KCCA,
Yes.
Dr. Carol, Director, Public Health, KCCA. We have been working with our team as Kasita and other colleagues. By the way, we have done a very, very great job. You find that even we have found that arcades which had turned toilets into shops, we have forced them to reallocate toilets back on those buildings. So there is no way you can say that we haven't done anything as Kasita.
Okay.
Sincerely, even I think I will share a report, what we shared, and all the stakeholders, we have tried to clearly show what we have achieved, what we have done, what can be done to make sure that people comply, but it's only that we are finding issues with the law enforcement department.
Well, now the finger has been turned from Kasita, that is explaining itself on what it has done so far in fighting the COVID-19 infection, and they're saying they have played their part in curbing down the number of COVID-19 cases in the country and not to increase them. And now we are pointing fingers at KCCA, and we are pointing another finger to the Ministry of Health and the government for failing to follow up on the issues that they said they were following up on. Now, as we end this conversation, please tell us what is new with Kasita. You have all these, solutions on ground and all these things that you're trying to implement to fight COVID-19. But now that we are seeing the lockdown coming nearer to us than we anticipated, a lot of people are saying there will be lockdown. And I think you also think the same, that in the president's address, there will be a lockdown of some sort, because with 20 deaths and 2,263 cases, it's a bit scary for the country.
For us, as
What
Kasita,
next?
we are still studying the situation and basing, like, I want to give you an example whereby police released because of depression, people are dying. People are burning up themselves.
Yes,
and
we've
you find
seen that happen too.
Over 250 people died. So if now the COVID has killed like 20, we think that in depression will kill more people.
It will be worse, that's what you
so,
say.
So lockdown is not practical right now. You have seen countries like Kenya, people are working. We have seen countries like Tanzania, people are working. We have seen people, we have been coordinating with our colleagues in America because we have partners there. People are working. The fact is, the government cannot handle the implications of lockdown.
Another lockdown.
Because people, by the way, even if the government has failed even to supply masks, if the government cannot even supply posho, if the government cannot supply even beans, we need to sensitize and accept that we can work and protect the economy as we fight COVID-19.
So what you're trying to say is another lockdown is so impractical, and instead we need to sensitize the population on how to keep themselves from COVID-19, something that we have already done, and we're looking at what other bigger solutions can we have, because even after sensitizing the nation, we have seen that the COVID-19 situation in the country has not changed.
No, for us, we think that if someone complies, let him work. I want to give you an example of supermarkets. They are operational, they are following SOPs. We have examples of arcades. Let me give you an example of Coach Towers. When we went there, the owner at first, because we have tags for the COVID task force, so he hid his identity. And we found that Coach Tower, given the fact the structure, the what, you find that they can comply with SOPs. But they didn't. So later when we talk to them, now when you go to Coach Tower, they are very strict. Sincerely, they are complying. Right now, today, we are going to re-inspect Coach Tower, and if totally they qualify, we shall allow them to operate.
Okay.
We are working with the team of KCCA. The fact is, most of the arcades we have been engaging, they are complying.
Okay.
And those who are resistant, I've told you, it's like two managements. Drake Lubega's management and Young's management.
Now we know.
So those are few people which the government can engage. Unfortunately for Drake, he has so many buildings. But when he was talking to media, he told us he has 2 arcades. But based to my knowledge, he is managing over 20 buildings.
Okay.
But he told us that he has his bosses. And we suspect the bosses are into government. So let them organize themselves so that we don't go back in lockdown.
Okay.
Unless they are just intending to push us over seriously, to kill us from home because of depression.
Well, that brings us to an end to this conversation, which was an amazing conversation. I'm glad you have come and cleared the air on behalf of Casita, because a lot of fingers were being pointed to you and Casita for not doing a good job. But now that you've cleared the air, your fingers are pointing somewhere else, to personal people, to landlords who are not taking care of themselves and who are not following the SOPs. And ladies and gentlemen, those are the people who are putting you under lockdown, or who may push you into another lockdown. Well, thank you so much for joining us in the studios, and hopefully we'll join you as you're having your press conference, and we'll have a lot more from Casita. Let's take a break and we'll be right back.
Bampita Dr. Franklin Mondo Mugisha wano ku STV biri ku machakera nange nga twogera ku nsonga ez'enjawulo, engeri z'okwezimba mu ggwanga lyaffe, engeri z'okuzimba gye tubeera gye tuva, wategedde obwavu lwa kibuluma, mikwano gy'abaavu baani, otambula otya, osula otya. Okusalawo okwo okw'obulamu kutandikira ku nfunayo. Emikwano gy'abagagga n'abaavu tusobola ogitegeera no ku STV. Tugenda kwogera ku nsonga z'aba Slay Queen. Tutambula tutya kukyusa omulembe gw'abawala baffe kubanga bafuuka bavunaanyizibwa era nga bakozi nga banoonyi ba kikumi. Tugenda kwogera ku bakanyama bazimba batya emibiri, y'omubiri bwe gulimu ssente oba bwe bulamu bwe twetaaga. Omukazi tasobola kuleka musajja w'emmotoka mukaaga mbwakute akwate 6 pack amufune mbubatambule naye wano ku STV. Big network. See ya.
Abalamuzi babagamba, if the incumbent president frustrates all democratic means to leave power, temusibayo muntu n'omu kutwiza. This is why Besigye is released. Museveni ekibi kyalina talina mawulire. Nawandika n'ekitabo kyange, the role of which could have been in malicious society, sapule njijjamu.
Noyingire sabo.
Katonda wa bujja. Nze Katonda w'obujja. Bw'oba olaga eri, sapule twekitwala. Omusajja omubbi bamujja ewuwe ewaka kabanga lyezi. Ne bamujja ewuwe ewaka yabadde mu ttooyi. Naye tebamukkiriza na tusanitize. Bamutadde buteesi mu piikaavu ba mu State House. Naye omukyayina bwe yawulidde nti ono bamukutte yeesize kiwi yayitiddeko yadduse ng'omuddugavu.
Hey guys, you're watching STV. Select for fun. Hey guys, you're watching STV. Select for fun.
Olwogoto lwa waaka.
Nkoye okunvuma leka nkwanike, nkoye okuyiswamu amaaso kankuswaza oyige.
Ekintu ky'olina oba okiguluga bwe kimala ne kiggwawo, olwo n'okapa ne wejjusa nti singa nakivaako.
We've come from so far and I ain't about to give it all away.
Hitaji la kuwa na wewe, nikubali nikuweke moyoni. Sazewo kwibwenonze mubanji wadde bizibu byaffe bingi, kusuubiza omukwano mungi na buli kalungi. Sazewo
abalamuzi babagamba if the incumbent president frustrates all democratic means to leave power temusibayo muntu n'omu kutwiza. This is why Besigye is released. Museveni ekibi kyalina talina mawulire. Nawandika n'ekitabo kyange the role of which could have been in Malaysia society sapule njijjamu
noyingire sabo
katonda wa bujja nze katonda w'obujja bw'oba olaga eri sapule twekitwala omusajja omubbi bamujja ewuwe ewaka kabanga lyezi ne bamujja ewuwe ewaka yabadde mu ttooyi naye tebamukkiriza na tusanitize bamutadde buteesi mu piikaavu ba mu state house naye omukyayina bwe yawulidde nti ono bamukutte yeesize kiwi yayitiddeko yadduse ng'omuddugavu.
Are still watching the first show. My name is Simon Chris Makanga, and as usual I'm always with Latifa Hamid, but for now allow me take you through our next segment, and that is the word of wisdom. Now we all know that COVID-19 is here, and majority of us have been greatly affected by the COVID-19 effects, all the pandemic effects. Now for those of us that have been affected, one thing I want you to share with you is that let's keep on smiling. Let's smile in the desert, because even when the situation is bad, keep smiling. Because when you keep annoyed or when you keep sad, that means you are glorifying the devil. But when you smile, that means you are hopeful and trusting the Almighty that things one day will get better. For now, let's dive into our next segment, and that is the business angle with Genesis.
Thank you so much, Chris. It is the 24th day of the month of August. We are clearly drawing closer to the end of the month. Good morning, and thank you so much for getting locked on your #1 TV station in the country. Don't forget, you can always catch us live on all your social media pages, on StarTimes, GoTV, free to air. And for those of you on DSTV, we shall soon be hitting your DSTV decoders. Good morning once again. It is the business angle with me, Genesis Namali, and welcome to the show. Now, last week we talked about how the loan rates are affecting the circulation of money in the economy. Today, I want us to have a little bit more insight on the banking system in the country. Later on in the week, I want us to host on the show someone affiliated to one of the domestic banks in the country to give us a little bit more. But today, I want us to look at how and what it takes to open up a bank in Uganda. How do banks make money, and what are the common factors that are forcing these domestic banks to push the rates too high? First things first, what does it take to open up a bank in Uganda, a running bank in Uganda? Before you are even given a license to open up a bank in the country, you need to deposit a minimum of 25 billion Ugandan shillings into the Central Bank of Uganda. Now, this is just a deposit. It is not the running capital of the bank. This comes with other requirements, like, by the way, that is a legal requirement. It's a legal regulatory requirement that you need before you even get a license. Now, there are other requirements that come along with it. The bank sets a standard for you. Let's give an example. Every month, you're supposed to deposit about 200 or 500 million in the bank. I'm giving an example. Now, this is a standard that the central bank has set for you. What happens is, if you fail to maintain this, or if you fail to maintain the standard that they have set for you, let's say you are depositing 200 million instead of the 500 million, or you're depositing 100 million instead of the 500 million that they said, with a given period of time, the central bank will declare you bankrupt. Now, how do these banks make money? I'm going to talk about 3 ways that these banks that are making money from the economy. 1, from raising money from stakeholders. 2, the rates, the interest rates that they are giving to the people that are asking for loans in the bank. And 3, in form of those bank deposits that you deposit every time you go to the bank. Those are some of the ways that the banks are getting money. I think the biggest way that they're getting money is through the loan interests that they are giving you people in the bank. Now, the last question is, why are they setting the rates too high? When these banks deposit the 25 billion Ugandan shillings in the central bank, this gives them a condition of always borrowing money. Now, the central bank gives them money, and they are supposed to circulate that money through loans in the economy of the country. Now, what happens is they are given these loans at a rate of approximately 7%. I don't think it has moved actually a little bit slightly for the past few years, but they are given at a rate, and you will find that they are giving out this money at a higher rate. Let's say 20%, that's a very big rate, maybe 15%. Still, from a 7% rate, that is really high. Now, the question is, why do they set the rates too high? I'm going to look at a few factors. Like I said, along the week, we shall be hosting someone affiliated to the bank to give us a deeper insight. But I'm going to give you the common factors that are forcing them. One, they have work rate. How can I call them? What's the word I can call them? They need to pay their workers. One. Two, when you go to the bank and you give them a land title, yeah, they are supposed to check for the authenticity of that title. And that process actually needs to be paid for. It is not for free. And then three, when you get that loan and you keep running around, that person that keeps running after you, pay the money, that person too needs to be paid. So that is another rate. Now, two, the risks are too high for them. Very many of you fail to pay the money that you ask for in the banks, and these losses go straight back to the bank. Remember, the bank is a profit-making organization. When it fails to make the profits, it's running bankrupt. It's failing to set the standards. It's failing to meet the standards that they have set for them. Now, that is the third reason. Having to meet the standards that the central bank, the regulatory bank, has set for them. Now, this forces them to raise the rates too high. I'm going to look at only those three for today. Before I get out of studio today, allow me to take a look at the forex rates. Today the dollar is buying at 3,669 and selling at 3,679 Ugandan shillings. The pound is buying at 4,836 and still selling at 4,849. The euro is selling, or I beg your pardon, it's buying at 4,364 and selling at 4,376. The Kenyan shillings at 33 shillings and still selling at 34 shillings. There's a little increment there. The Tanzanian shilling at 1.58 and selling at 1.58. The South African rand at 213 shillings and selling at 214 shillings. I think there's a little incline here for the past few months if you have been following me up over the South African rand. Now, it is time for me to get out of the studio. Don't forget to catch me every day here from Monday to Friday. Let's get a little insight on how the banking system is working. How is it affecting the circulation of money in the economy? Is there any hope of the Ugandan shilling actually gaining a little bit more value? All this actually comes back to the domestic banks. Let me send you back to Latifa and Chris. Thank you so much. Catch me again tomorrow.
Well, Genesis, before you get lost, there's one thing that I want to share with you, or inquire from you. Recently, the president of Uganda, General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, he said that the Ugandan shillings, or the Ugandan currency, is gaining value compared to the dollar. How true is that?
I actually listened to that, and as far as I'm concerned, yes, the Ugandan shilling has actually slightly gotten a little raise. Slightly, Chris, very slightly, and this is because the dollar has been low. Because of the COVID-19, the economy of the entire world has been pushed low, and this has forced the dollar to actually lower. This is why the Ugandan shilling has slightly raised, but the question is, how long can this stay? So I don't expect Ugandans to expect too much from the little raise in value. In fact, it is unrecognizable. It is almost not there.
We're now looking at the interest rate like you just gave out, that commercial banks get loans from the central bank at 7% interest, and then they give out loans to Mutuwa 1C at about 15%.
Yeah, to 20% actually.
How does it make sense to you?
Chris, that is exactly what I want us to look at this week. But let me give you an answer to that before I actually leave the studios. These banks are being regulated by the Bank of Uganda. The Bank of Uganda sets the standard for them. I don't want us to actually point fingers at them before we look the other way around. The question is, should we point fingers at them or should we point fingers to the Bank of Uganda? Because at the end of the day, they have to meet particular standards they have put for them. A bank is a profit-making organization, Chris, it has to make the interest. It has to pay its workers. It has to keep running, you know. So at the end of the day, they are pushed to the limit and are forced to raise the rates high.
Literally, omuntu wa wansi yabona. Thank you so much.
Because that is why when they are raising the rates too high, it means the circulation of money in the economy is less. Kubanga bantu batono nnyo abagenda osobola okugenda mu bank to ask for those loans. Atenga the rates ziri waggulu nnyo. It will be left for the very wealthy people that can afford it. Kitegeeza sente mu economy zigenda beera ntono. Kitegeeza the foreign currencies zigenda kubeera stronger. Local currency is extremely very weak.
Omwavu wakufa. For now, the first show takes another break and then we'll return with the sports updates with Prince Juko.
You're watching STV. Select for fun.
Abalamuzi babagamba nti if the incumbent president frustrates all democratic means to leave power, temusibayo muntu n'omu kutwiza. This is why Besigye is released. Museveni ekibi kyalina talina mawulire. Nawandika n'ekitabo kyange the role of which could have been a malicious society sapule njijjamu
noyingire sabo
katonda wa bujja nze katonda w'obujja bw'oba olaga eri sapule twekitwala omusajja omubbi bamujja ewuwe ewaka kabanga lyezi ne bamujja ewuwe ewaka yabadde mu ttooyi naye tebamukkiriza na tusanatayizi bamutadde buteesi mu piikaavu mu State House naye omukyayina bwe yawulidde nti ono bamukutte yeesize kiwi yayitiddeko yadduse ng'omuddugavu.
Hey guys, you're watching STV. Select for fun.
Bampita Dr. Franklin Mondo Mugisha wano ku STV biri ku makyakera nange nga twogera ku nsonga ez'enjawulo engeri tusobola okwezimba mu ggwanga lyaffe engeri tusobola okuzimba gye tubeera gye tuva wategedde obwavu lwa kibuluma mikwano gy'abaavu baani otambula otya osula otya okusalawo okwo okw'obulamu kutandikira ku nfunayo emikwano gy'abagagga n'abaavu tusobola ogitegeera wano ku STV tugenda kwogera ku nsonga z'abaslay queen tutambula tutya kukyusa omulembe gw'abawala baffe kubanga bafuuka babuvunaanyizibwa era nga bakozi nga banoonyi ba kikumi tugenda kwogera ku bakanyama bazimba batya emibiri ye omubiri bwe gulimu ssente oba bwe bulamu bwe twetaaga omukazi tasobola kuleka musajja w'emmotoka mukaaga mbwakute akwate 6 pack abufune mbubatambule naye wano ku STV Big Network. See ya.
Hey guys, you're watching STV. Select for fun.
ku STV ranga nabu neyongera okwaniriza abakatwegattako kweno show gye tusuubira nti egenda kukola ebyamaanyi nnyo mu ggwanga era nga gye bayita the first show. So for now katugende mu kanyomero kaffe akalala ke tuyita the first sports ne Prince Juko. Prince Juko, by minute yakubye omuntu
ekyo kyadde kisuubirwa agadde mateeka
tutandikirawo
njagala okwaniriza n'okwebaza gwe ali ku STV mu kaseera kano ak'ebyemizannyo mu kanyomero kaffe akatufuna kabyamizannyo okuva ku nnaku olw'ebbalaza otuuka ku lwokutaano puroguramu eno ebeera etambula paka essaawa zibeera 5 ez'amala g'ekyemisana naye nga tugamba nti okuva ku saa 12 muwawe ebitambula ate ku ssaawa 3 zennyini tubakwasa Bashir Kazibe n'abatwala mu maaso n'okuba nti abawa biki ebifudde mu nsiike awo yonna ey'ebyobufuzi. Amawulire ge tulina ag'ebyemizannyo mangi nnyo weekend nga bwe yatambudde kuva ku nnaku olwokutaano wabadde empaka eza Europa bwe batyo abawangudde Champions League yabaddeyo wabula ne munda mu ggwanga betujja okuba nga twogerako katandikireko wano munda mu ggwanga. Amawulire ge tulina gava mu club ya Bull FC oluvannyuma okuba nti yanveeriza abasambi betwogerako bana balambirira so nga ntera okutaano yamaze okuba nga emuleeta mu basambi bano ttiimu ya Bull FC yasobola okuba nga eyanjula mu butongole kuliko omukwasi wa goal omuvubuka oyo gwe bayita Mutebi Davis yayanjuddwa ne kubeerako Kenneth Kibaale ne kubeerako Peter Onzima Paul Mbazira asako namukwabo omulala gwe bayita Douglas Biathum be bamu kwabo abayanjuddwa club ya Bull FC. Bull FC abo bagitunulidde season yawedde engeri gye bakolamu bamala emifo kyali kya mukaaga oluvannyuma lw'okuba nti basaba empiira bafuna obubone 36 abatimu ya Bull FC bwe batyo bakola season yawedde mu kaseera kano omutendesi gwe bayita Arthur Chensimila ne ttiimu ye bali mu kulaba nti beetereeza n'okuba nti bakola bulungi kubanga bajja mu season bwekyanga bajja mu paka zino ezabinywera oba Premier League eya Uganda tebaddangayo wansi ate nga performance ebadde nnungi nnyo nga tebasukka kifo kya 7 kya mukaaga yengeri gye badde bakolamu ebintu byabwe okuba nga bitambula bulungi nnyo. Nga tugenzeko ate mu club Express FC olunaku olwabadde lwaggulo abatimu Express FC bavudde ne balangira butongole nga bafunye enkwatagana n'omukwabo abala bagenda kuba nga batekamu ensimbi era nga kino kyavudde kuba nti bakkiriziganya okusinziira akulira emirimu club Express FC gwe bayita Isaac Mwesigwa yategezeza nti bafunye omulala omuvujjirizi agenda okuba nga bakwatirako era ng'omuvujjirizi ono si mulala bamuyita Sport Show yasobola okuba nga beegattako eno nno company ekola mu byantambula naye nga yazze ku board ebeere ne club Express FC oluvannyuma lw'okuba nti kati ba sponsors oba abavujjirizi batandise okuba nga bawera omuli Buganda Land Board bavujjirizi baabwe omuli bank gye bayita Equity Bank muli manafa ba Betway bamukwaba batekasere mu club Express FC era nga bano abavujjirizi abaze ku board bakakanyiza emyaka 22 nga batekasere mu club ya Express FC era bino nga byalangiriddwa oyo akulira emirimu gwe bayita Isaac Mwesigwa mu club en Express FC bwe bityo byatambudde olunaku lwabadde lwa gulo. Nga tuvuddeko kaawo nga bwe tugambye nti emu ku ebyo bira bitambula nabyo oba byonna okubanga otegeera kwe kumanya ki ekyabaddewo era nga ebimu byatunuliddwa tujja genda kwabula eggwanga tumanye nti olunaku olwejjo empaka eza Champions League gyakomekerezeddwa wabula ekyabaddewo kwe kuba nti club ya Bayern Munich yawongedde ekikopo kyabwe eky'omukaaga mu mpaka za Champions League. Bayern Munich ekoze ebintu bingi nnyo oba obitunulidde oba obugenzi okuba nti otegeera n'okumanya biki byekoze ttiimu ya Bayern Munich. Tulaba nti egoolo emu yokka eyateebeddwa omuvubuka gwe bayita Kingsley Coman gye yateebedde ttiimu ya Bayern Munich mu ddakiika 59 yabawangizizza okubeera nga babeera ba champion. Ttiimu eya PSG emu ku byabaddewo tubadde babadde n'omusambi omu ku abo abasinga ebbeeyi mu nsi yonna era nga Neymar mu kaseera kano azitowa obukadde 200 oba pound bwazitowa kitegeeza nti okumwesimbamu ne wayimiridde obukadde 2 oba pound. Ekirala ekiriwo kuba nti omuvubuka ono gwe bayita Kingsley Coman omufaransa yazze n'akola record omu ku abo abasinze okuba nga abateebedde ttiimu eya Bayern Munich goals okuba nti zibawanguza ebikopo era nga abamu ku abo ababikola boyinza okuba nti oyogerako mu ttiimu ababito gwe bayita Hasle Faki ku myaka 52 kati gye twogera olaba nti omu ku abo abakola ekintu ekyo n'olw'ensonga eyo bwetu Bayern Munich ekikopo yakiwangudde ngekuba club ya PSG abadde baagala okukiwangula omulundi ogusooka n'ebintu ebigaana so nga ate mu Europa yakomekeza ku lunaku lwali lwakutaano club ya nafa ba Sevilla yakuba Inter Milan nebeera nti emujjemu n'emuwangula era ebintu byatambula bulungi ku saidi eyo nekitegeeza nti Sevilla agenda samba empaka za Champions League ate nga ne banaffe abattiimu ya Bayern Munich bagenda kujja mu sizoni eya 2020 nga bajja ng'abamu ku abo abawanguzi b'ekikopo ekyo tetumanyi oba nakidifendinga oba kino abalema nga ttiimu ya Liverpool bekyamulema wabula eyakikola yali ttiimu ya Real Madrid Zinedine Zidane okujja ekikopo n'akiwangula n'akidifendinga emirundi 3 egy'omudiringana nga yakiwangudde. Saagala kusuka ku kaawo olw'ensonga yakadde tugenda kubanga mbaze eri bannange wabula nga nkutegeeza kusasa zigenda kubeera 5 programu yaffe ey'ebyemizannyo egenda kubeera ku mpewo era ogenda kubanga ogiraba okumanya n'okutegeera n'okunnyonnyola n'okugaziyaamu wonna mu mbeera yonna n'okunnyonnyola byonna ojja kubanga obifuna kusasa zijja kubeera 5 programu bayita select sports ekintabuli ky'ebyemizannyo ejja kubanga ekutuukako Chris Makanga ngenda kubanga mbazzayo gyali ababuulire engeri gye bitambudde ate oluvannyuma bajja bategeeza bigenda kubanga bitambula naye nga face to face yegenda kuba nti eddako nooza kusaaza ffe zijja nga mu 3 ejja kubanga etandika
Prince Juko nga tonnaba kuvaako COVID-19 wali wano mu ggwanga era nga bannayuganda beebuuza ebyemizannyo bikoseddwa kyenkana wa
ebyemizannyo bikoseddwa ekisooka nti ligi yayimirizibwa tulaba sizoni ewedde ekikopo tebakimalayo emipiira tejaggwayo bakigabiraawo emipiira gyali yakasambwa Vipers nakitwala ekyokubiri nti wabaddewo obutakola abasamba omupiira abazanya basketball ababaka abazanya rugby egyo gyemirimu gye bakola nga bookera nojjano ku set n'okola naawe ku STV nabo babadde babikola kitegeeza nti ennyingiza yaabwe ebadde tejja kyovula nti lwaki emabegaawo ekibiina ekiddukanya omuzannyo gw'omupiira ekya FUFA kyavuddeyo ne kiwa akasente clubs zisobole okuba nga ziwa abasambi baazo n'okuba nga bakola ki kuba nga babeerako ku lw'ensonga nti amaclubs agasinga oba bantu abasinga kye balina okukola kiri kimu kyokka 1 bafuna ssente nga bataddewo emizannyo ng'omupiira gizannyibwa abantu bwe bayingira ssente ne zisasulwa basponsors ne bateekayo ssente nenjuka ne basponsors ogeza nga express erina basponsors abamu kwabo naye nga abamu banks abantu bakendeera kati kiba kizibu kitegeeza ennyingiza eba ntono abo ebyemizannyo beera bikoseddwa ku lw'ensonga baba tebafuna kye balina kufuna ng'abasambi oba abakola emirimu egyo egy'ebyemizannyo
weewaawo tuyanziza katugende mukuumulako tujja kukomawo tweyongereyo
You're watching STV. Select for fun.
Abalamuzi babagamba nti if the incumbent president frustrates all democratic means to leave power, temusibayo muntu n'omu ku Twitter. This is why Besigye is released. Museveni ekibi kyalina talina mawulire. Nawandika n'ekitabo kyange the role of witchcraft in malicious society sapule enjijjamu
noyingire sabo
katonda wa bujja nze katonda w'obujja bw'oba olaga eri sapule twekitwala omusajja omubbi bamujja ewuwe ewaka kabanga lyezi ne bamujja ewuwe ewaka yabadde mu ttooyi naye tebamukiriza na tusanitize bamutadde buteesi mu piikaavu mu State House naye omukyayina bwe yawulidde nti ono bamukutte yeesize kiwi yayitiddeko yadduse ng'omuddugavu.
Hey guys, you're watching STV. Select for fun.
With Casita's Musoke Theradas to the Genesis business hand and sports. We the First Show have a lot in store for you, and all you have to do is stay tuned with us. Now, Simon Chris Makanga, we were having a discussion with Musoke Theradas, Secretary General of Casita, and he was explaining that the pointing of the fingers are being pointed to the wrong people. They say they have done their part, they have played their part, and even played the government's part in trying to cut down COVID-19 and making sure that everybody follows the SOPs. But even the landlords feel like there are other people who they're bigger than, and even if they tell them don't open your arcades, they do because they feel like they have backup from somewhere that they won't be affected. What do you have to say about that, Sam?
I think this reminds me, and I've been sharing with you several times, about the meeting that triggered to the opening of the arcades. I remember the Casita people staged a riot.
They did.
And then it was blocked.
Yes.
And later, KCCA called them for meeting. They met. Eventually, they went to the OPM's office, where we had security being represented. We had Minister of Health being represented. We had Casita themselves being represented, and the landlords. And then I asked a question that, who are they working for? Because to me, according to that meeting, it looked like everyone was self-centered. Buli omu yali yeyagaliza. Kasita nabo beyagaliza. And to me, I think I blame this on the Kasita.
But who is Kasita according to you, Simon Chris?
That is the question that I expected from everyone. Who is Kasita and who are they working for? And to me, Kasita, these are the same people that do business in the city. 2, who is fighting for their rights? To me, I was thinking that if we need a body that represents traders, that body must be independent, must be having good knowledge about business. We have professors from Makerere University. Can they sit down and plan for the traders in the city? Can they sit down and plan very well for how the economy is going to run? I think that's where to go. Otherwise, in that meeting, everyone was self-centered, and they were only representing their own problems. Well, no wonder the traders are the ones suffering, apparently.
Well, that is the view from Simon Chris Makanga. We still have the landlord versus the tenants issue that they have failed to manage. And Kasita says they have written to the government, they have written to the Ministry of Health, but nobody has come up to sit with them in that meeting to discuss the landlord-tenant issue. Now, for people like JB Fashions who are in Grand Corner Level 8 and they're trying to survive and dress people like me to look good, we have issues of a lockdown that may or may not happen, and we are scared that this could lead to those people like JB not working. Now, for those who want to hurry up and catch JB before the lockdown, we're not saying the lockdown is going to happen. Those are speculations. Call him on 0758 597 322. I'll repeat it one more time. That's 0758 597 322. For now, I'd like to say goodbye and thank you all for being part and parcel of the Fast Show that has a bigger package for you every Monday to Friday. And for the team, Mansour, Husna Feti, Adams Mayambala, Jeff, Brenda, and the rest of the team, I would like to thank you for being part of this program.
Well, my name is Simon Chris Makanga. I'd like to thank each and every one that has been part of this show right from the genesis until right now. We are going to be walking out of the studio. My name is Simon Chris Makanga.
Don't leave without saying hi to Don, I beg you. I left it for you and I'm seeing that you're forgetting.
Don the Drone, thank you so much for the good job well done. I like your shots, by the way. He's the main guy on camera. May the good Lord of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob be with you not until we meet once again tomorrow, which is going to be Tuesday, for yet another edition of the Fast Show. But for now, we are not around.
Hey guys, you're watching STV. Select for fun.